A struggling farmer, buried in debt and sorrow, stumbled upon a half-frozen mare lying in the snow. Her eyes were dull, her body frail, but something in her gaze sparked a flicker of hope inside him. Against all odds, he fought to save her, unknowingly setting off a chain of events that would change both of their lives forever. If this story touches your heart, hit subscribe and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. It truly means the world to us. Now, let's begin the incredible journey of a man, a horse, and the miracle born from one act of compassion. The wind howled across the open plains like a wild beast, biting at every inch of exposed skin. Snow fell thick and fast, turning the world into a swirling sea of white. Samuel Reed tightened his coat around his broad shoulders, his breath rising in sharp clouds. He was nearing 50 now, his dark hair streaked with gray, his blue eyes softened by years of hardship. His boots crunched through the snow as he made his way toward the barn, each step heavier than the last. This farm had been in his family for 3 generations, but lately, it felt more like a weight than a legacy. The crops had failed, prices had soared, and this cruel winter was threatening to take what little remained, he sighed. Another day, another fight, he muttered under his breath. That's when he saw it. Movement beyond the fence line. At first, he thought it was just a fallen branch, maybe some trash blown in by the storm. But as he got closer, a chill of dread crept up his spine. It wasn't debris. It was a horse. The mare collapsed in the snow. Her body was skeletal, shaking violently. Frost clung to her coat. Her ribs pressed out beneath her skin. She barely lifted her head as he approached, her eyes cloudy and distant. Samuel dropped to his knees beside her, the freezing ground soaking through his jeans. He placed a hand on her neck. Her breath was shallow, but still there. "What happened to you, girl?" he whispered, brushing his gloved hand gently over a scar on her flank. She had been through hell, neglect, pain, abandonment. And yet, in that moment, something stirred in him. Memories rose, sleepless nights filled with worry, days haunted by unpaid bills and broken equipment. He knew what it meant to be forgotten, to be left behind. Someone had abandoned this mare, left her to die, but not on his land, not on his watch. "You're not giving up," he whispered, more to himself than to her. "And neither am I." He stripped off his scarf and wrapped it gently around her neck. Then, stepping behind her, he pushed with everything he had. The mare trembled, legs buckling beneath her. The wind screamed. The snow thickened. But Samuel kept pushing, and finally, with one last, desperate shove, she stood, wobbling, shaking, but standing. "That's it," he said, his voice firm but kind. "We're going home." The walk back to the barn was slow and grueling. Every few steps, the mare stumbled, and Samuel stopped with her, never letting go. When they finally reached the barn, he guided her inside, spread fresh straw, and eased her down gently. He fetched water and feed, but she barely acknowledged them. But he didn't mind. She just needs time, he told himself, crouching beside her. Time, and someone to believe in her. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside, for the first time in a long while, Samuel felt something stir within him. Hope. Days passed. The mare, whom Samuel named Faith, remained weak. She refused food and barely moved. But Samuel never left her side. He spoke softly to her, telling stories about the farm, his father, and the years of struggle that had led him to this point. "You remind me of me," he said one evening, adjusting the blanket over her trembling body. Knocked down but still standing. By the end of the week, Faith began to improve. Her eyes grew brighter. She lifted her head more often, watching him as he entered the stall. One morning, she even managed to stand on her own. Samuel grinned. "There you are." Weeks turned into months. With patience and care, Faith grew stronger. Her coat regained its shine. Her once sunken eyes now sparkled with life. Then, one crisp spring morning, Samuel noticed something unusual. Her belly had grown. The vet confirmed it. Faith was pregnant. She was due in a month or two. That evening, Samuel sat on the porch, staring at the barn in disbelief. A foal, his farm was barely surviving. Raising a young horse wouldn't be easy. But as he watched Faith rest peacefully inside, something shifted in his heart. "A second chance," he whispered. "For both of us." The days leading up to the birth were filled with preparation. Samuel repaired fencing, stocked supplies, and read everything he could about foaling. When the time came, he was ready. With quiet strength, Faith delivered a healthy colt, small, wobbly, but full of life. Dr. Harris nodded approvingly. "You've got yourself a strong one," he said. "Good bloodlines. Might have some potential." Samuel knelt beside the newborn, running a hand along its damp coat. Its wide eyes blinked up at him. Curious, trusting. "Blaze," Samuel said softly. "That's your name." Blaze grew fast that he was playful, mischievous, and bursting with energy. Some days, training him felt impossible. Chasing him around the paddock, coaxing him back into his halter, teaching him commands that seemed to fly right over his head. But there were quiet moments, too. Moments when Blaze would nuzzle against Samuel's shoulder, resting his head gently on his arm. In those moments, Samuel saw something more. Potential. Purpose. Hope. One rainy morning, Blaze limped after a tumble. Panic surged through Samuel's chest. He called the vet immediately, pacing the barn until help arrived. "It's just a sprain," Dr. Harris said with a calm smile. "Rest and care. He'll be fine." Relief washed over him. Over the next few weeks, Blaze healed and changed. The mischief faded, replaced by focus. He responded to commands quicker, listened better. He seemed different. As summer rolled in, Blaze grew into a striking young horse, powerful, intelligent, and eager to learn. Neighbors started to take notice. One afternoon, a friend suggested entering Blaze in a local race. Samuel hesitated. Races were for wealthy breeders and pedigreed stallions, not for struggling farmers and rescue mares. But then he looked at Blaze, proud, strong, ready. "Maybe," he whispered. "Just maybe." Training began at dawn. Blaze responded like he'd done it 100 times. Samuel poured his heart, soul, and sweat into every session. Race day arrived. The track was packed. Spectators buzzed with excitement. Riders eyed Samuel with doubt, an old farmer in a worn jacket, using simple tack. But when the bell rang, Blaze exploded forward, fast, fearless, unstoppable. They crossed the finish line first. The crowd erupted. Samuel slid off the saddle and wrapped his arms around Blaze's neck. "You did it," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "You really did it." Word spread. Invitations rolled in. Sponsors reached out. Doors opened. But with success came pressure. Bigger races, higher stakes, long-distance travel, rising costs, and fierce competition. Doubts began to creep in. Was he ready for this? Could he keep up? One quiet evening, Samuel sat on the porch, watching Blaze and Faith graze peacefully in the pasture. "You've changed everything," he said softly. "Not just for me, for this whole place. For Grace." Faith nickered gently. Blaze lifted his head, meeting Samuel's gaze, something unspoken passing between them. A quiet understanding. Every challenge, every setback, every sleepless night, had all been worth it. Then came the Grand Prairie Classic, the biggest race of the season. Prestige, history, fierce competition. Samuel stood at the edge of the track, nerves coiled tight. The grandstands were packed with thousands of spectators. Riders adjusted reins, eyes glancing his way, some skeptical, others simply curious. But Samuel focused only on Blaze. "You ready, kid?" he asked, his hand resting lightly on the colt's neck. Blaze nickered, calm and confident. The starting bell rang. Blaze exploded forward, powerful, precise. The pack was tight, every horse a champion. Thunderstrike, the crowd favorite, kept pace stride for stride. Final stretch, Blaze dug deep, found one last burst of energy, and surged ahead. They crossed the finish line just a heartbeat before the others. The crowd erupted. Samuel slid off the saddle and pulled Blaze into his arms. "You did it," he whispered. "Absolutely amazing." That night, back at the farm, Samuel stood beneath the moonlight in the paddock. Faith and Blaze grazed side by side, peaceful and content. "You've changed everything," he said again, smiling. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can lead to the greatest miracles. Never underestimate the power of believing in others and in yourself. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. We love hearing from you. More incredible stories are coming soon, and we can't wait to share them with you. Thank you for listening.